Hey there, I'm Krista Vance, entrepreneur and operations leader.
And I'm Matt Vance, award-winning author and social innovation researcher. We're your hosts of the Culture Profit Podcast.
Your place for purposeful company culture strategy.
Learn from HR pros, executives, and thought leaders how to prioritize profits by prioritizing people.
This episode is sponsored by Mobrium, the best friend of forward-thinking HR leaders, helping you strengthen your employer reputation as a reflection of your real culture.
Learn more at mobrium.com.
Hey, thank you everyone for joining us for today's episode on the Culture Profits. We're excited to welcome a special guest, Stephen Puri, who has both experience from Hollywood and the startup world. He knows what it takes to be a peak performer on screen and in the office. Today, we're going to explore how to get in a good flow state for optimal performance and break down human skills that AI can't touch. So, Stephen, thank you for joining us today.
I hope this is an episode that is both entertaining and has some actionable advice in it. So let's see where it goes.
Love it.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you. And on a personal note, Matt and I both are excited to learn from you about this flow state, because I'm pretty sure everyone can admit to having times
it's
where
becoming
it's
kind of
hard to
popular
get
in
to
the
that
zeitgeist.
point.
People are becoming aware of like, oh, there's this way to work that's kind of like cool and I feel good. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's share some knowledge.
So just a little bit about why you should listen to this episode. And Stephen, he is one of the few people on earth who's been a senior executive at 2 motion picture studios and also raised over 20 million in venture capital. So we're going to talk a little bit more about his past experiences as we get into the episode. But tell us how you got from the film industry to venture capital and tech. Those are like wildly different.
Okay, some context for those playing along at home or in their cars or at the gym. I actually started out as an engineer. My parents were both engineers at IBM. My mom was a software engineer, a coder. My dad was a hardware engineer designing large-scale integrated circuits for CPUs, right? So it's like, your parents are great ice skaters. You probably learned to ice skate when you were a kid. It's just natural. So I knew how to code, even though that wasn't my thing. I was actually more interested in business and journalism and stuff like that. So when I went to USC in Los Angeles, which has a fantastic cinema school, I wasn't actually in the cinema school. I was there and had a lot of friends who were pursuing film, but it was the moment in time when film became digital, when computers became powerful enough to make digital films. And I sat at that intersection in the Venn diagram of, I could speak engineer because I was a Watson scholar at IBM. Like I was a paid junior software engineer making money for college, right? So I could speak engineer, but I also could speak creative. And that was a very small set of people that could bridge those worlds then. Now everyone does everything. But at the time it was like, hey kid, you in the back, you could dance, you can sing, come here, you can star in this musical, right? And my career took off. So I suddenly was not on the path that I thought I'd be on. I was rather on a path of producing digital film because as an engineer, I fell into film becoming digital. I did about 14 films, worked on True Lies and Seven and Braveheart and like all this stuff. It was super fun.
Wow.
And ended up teaming with Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. I produced the digital effects for Independence Day. And we won the Academy Award for the visual effects in that movie, which I'm not going to lie, it helps all your careers. 1,400 people contributed to the visual effects, producing digital effects on that. Roland, Dean, and I got very close. Toward the end of Independence Day, the three of us decided to start a company to do visual effects. So I ran that company. I raised about $15 million for that. And we sold that 4 years later. We got an offer from Das Werk, which is a big German media conglomerate. And it was like a 6x multiple. So we took it. And suddenly I was like 28 years old. I had cash in my pocket. I was like, as one thinks in their 20s, you're smarter than you are. You think you're funnier than you are. You think you're better looking than you actually are, right? So there I was like 28. I was like, oh, cool. What do I want to do next? Like this engineering thing led to meeting all these directors, doing all this digital stuff on films. And I thought, well, it'd be cool is what if I helped get a movie made as opposed to just being the guy hired on a movie that was going to make the digital part, In film terms, it means going from below the line to being above the line. So I set myself on that path in my late 20s. And that meant working my way up the development ladder, knowing more writers, knowing more actors, knowing more directors, being able to put things together. And that is how I ended up, as you guys know, I was an executive vice president at DreamWorks for Kurtzman Orsi. And that is the era where Alex Kurtzman and Bob Orsi were doing Transformers 1 and 2, Star Trek 11, Eagle Eye, all that kind of stuff. As a vice president at 20th Century Fox, where I ran like the Die Hard franchise, the Wolverine franchise, a bunch of, you can see the theme. I love doing big summer action movies. And that was kind of like the pendulum swinging all the way to like, oh, you're deep in film now. And the pendulum started to swing back to engineering around Die Hard 5 when I was the executive on that. And there was huge back pressure from the studio to make it. It was like, script be damned, quality be damned. People will just go see it because it's John McClane and it's Bruce and they want to see Yippee-ki-yay. And the script was terrible. And I had other things on my slate that I thought were actually really good ideas that my boss, the chairman of the studio, was not as interested in, because he's like, listen, any poster that just has the 2 words Die Hard is going to make $70 million opening weekend. It doesn't even matter if there's film in the can. Just go make the script we have. Just get it done, And I was like, wow, I'm going to wake up 40, 50 years old making Die Hard 9, like, kids, daddy's paying for your college, making really bad Die Hard 9, but, keep going. I'm buying books for your school, right? And that's when I decided to get back in engineering. I was like, you know what? This is not going to be a fulfilling use of the rest of my career. Maybe I can find problems that can be solved with engineering. And that's what I do now. That's how I got back into doing startups again. And by the way, you didn't mention this, but I will put it out there in case we want to talk about it, is yes, I had a successful exit in my 20s. I've had 2 startup failures. And you learn more from the failures. They suck and you're embarrassed and depressed and all that. But I've also lost $6 million in money. We raised 15, sold that for 90, but I've also raised about 3 million for 2 different companies that ultimately didn't get to the Series A. And I was personally embarrassed, but learned a lot. I would not be able to do what I'm doing now successfully if it hadn't been for those 2, like, wow, this hurt. What did I learn? Back to you in the studio.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to point out, you mentioned saving for your kids' college, and we just wanted to do a shout out that you just became a father. So congratulations.
Yes, absolutely. Something, as I mentioned to you, I was not looking forward to. It was not a goal of my life. Like, someday I'm going to be a dad. It was just not me. I was, in the middle of a career and another career, and everything's going well. And I met Laura. We met in yoga.
Nice.
Daily yoga practice. And, we've been together 10 years now. And there was a moment in this where I was like, I think that actually would be fun with you to have a child. And I have a 5-week-old son. And I can't actually imagine how I could love anything more. It doesn't seem possible that my heart could be any more full than it is right now.
It's pretty incredible how, love expands, especially for your own family. It's like, where did that come from? Was it inside me, or it just comes?
Don't know. It's a less selfish life I lead now, but man, like, I don't sleep much. If, again, as we joked about, if I forget to use adverbs or verbs at all, I apologize. I'm really tired, but man, am I happy. He smiles and I'm just like, melt.
Yep. I totally know that feeling.
Hopefully you're getting to the better nights of sleep. I feel like for our kids, it was always around 2 months that they started giving us some longer stretches. And but soak it up. As tired as you are, it's the best, those little sweet newborns.
It is amazing. And yeah, my friends are talking about, this goes by so quickly. The days are long, but the weeks and the years are short. And so I've gotten a lot of advice. And, we're really enjoying it. And my wife is just seeing her as a mom is like a whole new level of just, wow, this is who you are as a person. This is cool. But anyway,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and on the other end, we can also relate to, we're in the startup phase and have been for 3 years, and obviously we haven't 6x'd our business yet, but we're still in it, and we hope it's a success like that someday. So, but we are learning a lot and never would regret it, even if it doesn't go that way. And
go Mobrium,
right? Yep. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, the concentration piece too, like with getting in a flow state, and being a parent. I'm here at our office today recording. Krista's at our home office, and she's got her headphones, the door's locked. When we first started Mobrium, the two things I realized I needed the soonest was noise canceling headphones and a lock on the office. Not that I don't love my kids, but like, you have to get in that state of mind where you can focus. And if you're working at home or at the office, whether it's a kid knocking on the door or that one coworker that always comes by and you're just like, I really got to focus right now. It's like, it's important both for the creative side and, the structural engineering type of production. It affects all of us.
Can we pick up on that?
Yeah.
Because
Let's do it.
I'm going to tell you two things that come up as you say that. The first thing is, before I had a child, because I've been doing this for 6-7 years now, we have a community of people who get into focus together. It's a very productive, supportive community. I'm very grateful that, what we do, this website aggregates those kind of people. So I had a number of people who were parents and talked to me about the extreme pressures on their time, like how precious their time was relative to what it was like when they were single and sort of like could kind of wake up when they want to go to sleep. And now I understand that, where it's like, oh man, I have 90 minutes right now of time between X happens and my family needs me to, and I need to use that extremely, extremely well. I have to be efficient if I'm going to achieve what I want and also be present with my family. So that's become so much more clear to me why we have so many parents in Sukkah, in that membership, because I get it now. I'm like, oh. And the other thing is it reminds me how I actually named our company, because it's a weird name, okay? The Sukkah Company, what, right? I will tell you, it was from this conversation. So Laura, whom we remember I met in yoga, right? We got married a couple of years ago. And, if you do a lot of yoga, where do you go for your honeymoon? Bali. I'm very grateful my life is such. We could go to Bali for a couple of weeks and chill out, right? Do yoga on the beach. So we're flying there, and we had an early version of this flow state app, right, that I run. Laura, you know what? The next 2 weeks, no one's going to bug me because they're like, Stephen's on a honeymoon. Don't ask him to approve the purchase order. Right? I was like, maybe in this time, the universe will speak to me and I'll come up with the name, because I've had every bad idea for a name about distraction blocker, flow state app, productivity app, like it's just every awful, obvious name, right? So she said, I hope that happens for you. So we get there, and I said, I think what would seed my unconscious is if I talk to maybe 2 or 3 of our early members in the beta version and just say, like, tell me what feature you love. Tell me why this works for you. And maybe that'll bubble up later, right? So Laura said, I'm going to the pool, but you can enjoy your Zoom calls on our honeymoon. Why, right? So I dropped in the group chat. I was like, who has a minute to chat? Spoke to 3 people for 15 minutes and just asked, what's your favorite thing? Can you just tell me? Is it the flow music with like 1,000 hours, wasn't it? Is it, the smart assistant that keeps you off your thing? Is it a Pomodoro timer? What is it? The third guy, when I was going into the wrap up, I was like, Matt, I said 10 minutes. I want to respect your time. Thank you so much. Have a great day. He stopped me and he said, Stephen, you asked the wrong questions. Okay, guy, I don't know that well. What was the right question? He said, you should have asked me why I pay you. Okay, I'll take the bait. Why do you pay me? He said, I find I have 2 kinds of days. At 3 o'clock, I am playing with my kids. They're currently 2 and 4. Or at 6 o'clock, I'm down on myself. Where did the day go? I was busy all day, but I didn't get the big thing done. He said, I realized the difference past year or so is, did I hit play in your website in the morning? Wow. So I pay you because my kids are not going to be 2 and 4 forever. I was like, wow, you won that round. That was a way better answer than what I was asking for. So I went to dinner with Laura. I was like, I spoke to this dude who is more articulate about what I'm doing than I am. And I told her this, and she's like, that's really good. Going to sleep that night, they're little honeymooners, like spa rose, brushing our little teeth. And Laura looks at me with her mouth full of toothpaste, and she goes, in yoga, we hear all these like Sanskrit words, these like prana, your life force, and karma, and your dharma, your duty. She's like, that dude, you wanted the universe to speak to you. It spoke to you through that guy. He described to you Sukha, that feeling of happiness when you were at ease, you're in control, because you're doing the thing you're very good at. That's what he's telling you, is he wants to be in control of his day because he wants at 3 o'clock to be playing with his kids. That is what it looks like for him. She's like, that's what you should call your company, the happiness company, not the distraction blocker, not the focus app, not the flow state app. And I looked on my little phone for $14. That website was available and I just bought it. I was like, we're doing this. So that is what's really important to me, is it's like, where is it you want to be? You want to be in control of your life, maybe be with your kids or be skiing or play with your dog in the park, whatever it is. But if you use those hours in the morning well, your afternoon is different, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had enough of those 6 o'clocks where I'm like, oh man, we have to go to dinner. I didn't get this done. Oh, Laura, we need to hurry back from dinner tonight so I can finish work. And I hate that. I hate telling Laura that, So that I think is really the goal of all this. It's not focus. It's being in control of your life and feeling like I got this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh, yeah. The one thing I was going to say is like, especially when I was working more at home, Krista would say, hey, it's dinner time. Are you done yet? And to that, I would say, I'm never done, but I'm stopping. Like a lot of us have these big goals that we're working towards, projects that span weeks and months. It's not just you go in and do your thing that day and that's the end of the thing. I mean, there's this continuation of focus that happens across days, weeks, months, and years, but you've got to get into it and then come back out of it.
Totally with you. I have a question for
you. Yeah.
This is for both of you. What is your methodology, or what practice do you have to know what needs to get done today?
I mean, for me at least, I usually, on a good day, like my 3 o'clock done day, like to your comparison there, I just make a simple list of no more than a handful of things, and then I just quickly number them. And that's usually just in my notebook. But then sometimes you have new things that come in that day that weren't there in the morning that potentially could derail you.
Yep.
But that's pretty basic. Krista?
I have a feeling that whatever processes we have are going to change after this episode.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So I'm not
if I do my job properly,
that,
and your wrist will feel better, and you'll sleep better at night.
But I will say a couple things. It sounds to me like this flow state, it's less about accomplishing a certain number of things, but more about making the time you spend more efficient and focused. And yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get more into it, but Matt, sometimes he'll say to me, like, especially when he was working on his book, The Review Cycle, he'd be like, I like my plan today, write a chapter, right? That would be his goal, his list or whatever. And then he'd be like, well, I didn't even get to starting writing chapter 1, but I was really productive and I did all this research and now I'm more prepared to do that chapter 1. And so again, I don't think it's about accomplishing a certain thing or list, but about the focus that you have and the mindfulness and the presence on each individual thing that you're doing.
Beautifully put.
Being present in your shoes.
And I know we've mentioned this term a few times, flow state. And I know there's a portion of the audience in their car nodding like, I'm a flow master. I'm in a flow state right now as I drive to work. And there's another cohort in the audience. It's like I've heard it and I'd love to really understand it better. Like it's in the zeitgeist and people are talking about it, but can someone... So it's fair. Can I set the table and just kind of like, here's what we're all talking about?
Definition and let's get into it.
So there was a Hungarian-American psychologist. His name was Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He had a thesis. He said, you talk to high performers in wildly different disciplines. Artists, athletes, scientists, inventors. They describe the highly concentrated state that they go into when they do the stuff that makes them famous in such similar ways. What's up with that? So like, Prometheus, he wanted to go up to Mount Olympus, get fire and bring it down to the rest of us and go like, here's how it works, guys, right? So at the end of his research, he wrote a book called Flow. It is the seminal work on this. It is from whence we get the term flow states. And he had the greatest thing he said about it. He said, I chose this word because it was the most beautiful metaphor for what I found.
Hmm.
We are all on the river paddling to move ourselves forward. But if you align your boat with the current, it magnifies your efforts. It carries you forward. You go further and faster. And that is what these high performers have figured out how to do and do repeatably. Since he wrote that, there have been amazing people who have done research on this, the Kotlers and the Newports and the Nears and the standing on shoulders of giants sort of thing. And people have dug into different aspects of this, because in his book, he sort of said, here are the characteristics of this. You want to know if you've been in a flow state? This is what it's like. Here are the conditions precedent that these people seem to use to get there. And then since then, the research on let's go deeper into the music. Let's go deeper into the distraction blocking. Let's go deeper into this, right? So the characteristics of a flow state, and then I'm going to be quiet and we're going to go back to the studio and ask questions. But for those playing all at home, it is a state where you are highly concentrated, doing your best work, like you do quality work. You lose track of time. You're not staring at the clock. Distractions fall away. You don't feel the need to pick up your phone or, quickly check your WhatsApp or any of that stuff. And at the end, you feel a sense of joy or uplift as opposed to depletion. And it's not like, oh God, I got to drag myself out of here. You're like, that was awesome. Okay. And I think, from the example I gave you, that's what that member was telling me. He's like, at 3:00, I want to feel good and be like, oh, cool. Now I have time to go play with my kids, as opposed to I dragged it out all day and, it's done, but I need a nap, And I experienced my first flow state, by the way, before I had ever heard the concept. I was just on a flight. I was going here from Austin to SF. I was going to meet with my team the next morning. And I thought, there's an idea for a feature I wanted to propose to see if people liked it. I thought I can hackily mock it up in Figma enough on the flight that they'll get it and you'd be like, oh, that's really super cool. Let's build it, kill it. So got on, Alaska runs that route. The captain's like, sorry, kids, Wi-Fi's out on this, equipment. Gotta, enjoy each other. And
enjoy each other.
15, 20 minutes later, we started descending. And I was like, there is something clearly wrong. We went from Austin to Dallas. They're landing because an engine fell off and they just don't want to scare us until we're on the ground. Something bad happened and they won't tell us. And I looked down and 2 hours and 40 minutes had gone by since I last looked at the clock. And I had no idea. I didn't know if the drink cart had come by.
Wow.
But my designs were done and I liked them. And then suddenly I had a free night in SF. I was planning on I don't know if you guys have done this, get to the hotel lobby, grab a sandwich, go upstairs, try and finish in the hotel room for the morning.
Yep.
I called a buddy of mine. I was like, dude, I have a free night in SF I wasn't planning on. Do you want to have dinner? And it was really nice to feel like in a different kind of, not always behind the ball, but in front of the ball.
Yeah.
Later, I realized that was a flow state, which was helped by the fact that there was no Wi-Fi. So there were no incoming messages. There were no emails to check. There was nothing I could send out. There's no let me quickly message so-and-so. That was kind of blocked for me. So it helped me fall in. I had music. I had my headphones, earbuds, kind of with me. And that oral environment really helped me drop in. We can talk about music as a way to, get your brain into flow. And later I was like, oh, wow, that was a flow state. And it's not some obscure thing. It's available to anyone if you just understand some simple brain tricks to help you get in. And once you've done it, you're like, why would I work any other way? Why wouldn't I have 3 p.m.s where I'm playing with the dog rather than 6 p.m.s where I'm like, oh, I have to work after dinner.
Yeah. Man, that's very powerful.
Tell us a little bit more about Sukha and about getting into this flow state. How do we do it?
Yeah, I will. And I want to acknowledge anything smart I say is because really smart people have come before and done lifetimes of research. Okay. So I'm not that smart, but what I did say was, how could we take all this and put it into one simple play button? All I want to do in the mornings when I start work, hit play. It gives me scientifically designed music. There's a Pomodoro thing. It tracks my tasks. It blocks all the websites in my phone and it just keeps me in, right? So that is really what we did. because so many smart people wrote, hey man, we did a lot of studies on students about how they study. We did a lot of studies on, workers in the office, remote workers. So here's what Suka is. It's a simple website. You open it, there's a play button right in the middle. When you hit play, it basically gives you a lot of the conditions that allow you to drop into flow. And research shows, by the way, that flow is not something where you go, I'm in a flow state, magic, like Superman flying.
Mhm.
It takes like 15 to 23 minutes for your brain to drop in.
Mm.
And it's curious because like the studies that have done with like fMRI machines on jazz musicians and, people who are in a state where it's just like flowing together, their brain signals actually change. Like the prefrontal cortex kind of shuts down. There are like all sorts of things that happen where you go, oh, that is how it's like an observable phenomenon. It's not like a
It's
drug
physical.
trip or something.
It's physical and
Yeah, exactly.
mental.
Exactly.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
That's really what we did with Suka. We said, you know what? I want to look at this. How do we get the best music? I'm really lucky because remember, I had a film career. So I have a bunch of friends who are film composers. Sadly, with a lot of time on their hands these days, It was like, hey, here's the research. It shows for most people, the sweet spot is like 60 to 90 beats per minute. Certain key signatures, ambient, non-vocal. You're not singing along with Blackpink as much as you like to, Matt. Let's be honest, right? So it's like this kind of music. Hey, could you write me 1,000 hours of original music like this, right? Then we organize that into playlists because some people like a little more up tempo. We call that playlist sonic caffeine. Some people like down tempo. We call that ambient atmosphere. Have you guys messed with binaural beats? You're both wearing headphones.
No.
Binaural beats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Binaural beats, something I got into because of this, because we had a number of members, especially curiously engineers, who were into this. And some people dispute this. So I'm not going to say this is fact or fallacy, but some people swear by it, which is if you can feed each ear a different channel, right? You can't listen to it just on your laptop. You have to have earbuds or headphones or something like this, where you can make sure each ear is hearing a different thing. It's a slightly offset pitch. And the logic behind it is that it actually stimulates your brain because your brain is trying to reconcile the little 36, 40 hertz offset between your ears, and it keeps you engaged in a different way. So it's called binaural, bi to oral beats. We threw up 3 binaural playlists just for those people who are like, I have headphones and I'm into this and this gets me going, right? And there's a lot of writing about different sort of brain waves that are stimulated by different hertz. Like, 36 stimulates more of this. And if you want gamma brain waves versus delta, I really believe it's like experiment on yourself because this is not something where you're going to hurt yourself by doing it. I tried it. I don't know if it's the placebo effect because I was expecting it to make me feel more focused, but it was kind of cool to have, a free way to just be like, let's try binaural today. Strap on headset.
Very interesting.
So music's super cool. I'll add something that I discovered if you want to know. There's
Definitely.
So when we launched this, remember we had that early version that we were looking for a real title, a real name. Buddy in Marin, he does the audio for LucasArts for the Star Wars games. Called me up. Stephen, I just got back from Nepal. It's my son's high school graduation present. He got into great school, worked really hard. This was his thing. By the way, when we were in Kathmandu, one day it poured rain. And it was so lush and delicious. I had my recording equipment. I recorded it. I've got 2 hours of rain in Kathmandu. I don't really know what to do with it. Do you want it?
Oh, that's
right?
Cool.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know, but what if we did this? What if we just took it, made a playlist, and quietly, without announcing it, just like put it in the middle of the other plays? We'll call it Himalayan Dream Rain.
Wow. Okay.
It became the 3rd most popular playlist in the platform.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
How odd. So of course you can tell I'm a curious guy. And I know who's listening to it because I run the platform. So I emailed some people. I was like, hey, Chris, I noticed you listen to this Dream Rain a lot. I'd love to understand why. I sort of had no idea what happened with it. I'm going to tell you, everyone who replied that I spoke to, they had some version of this. It evoked a period of time when I was studying really hard. When I was young, I would stay at my grandmother's house in Georgia, and it would pour rain there around finals or something like that. So it was interesting mental association of like, it's raining out.
Wow.
Oh, this is when I'm
Oh.
studying, right?
Oh.
And that was super interesting. Oh, here's another mental way to trick yourself into I'm in my focus mode, right? So we threw up some other what I call naturescapes now, right? Streams in Japan, surf in Cyprus. There's a lake, Emerald Lake in Canada, that has some specific indigenous birds is what someone asked for. So we found recording through it up there. They're sort of popular, not super popular like the rain was. And then a woman who is actually a pretty well-known Substacker, author, blogger, she reached out to me last year and said, I saw you're experimenting with these non-musical playlists. Can I make a request? I'm like, that's why we're here. Like, Tony and I do this for free just because we think it's a cool, fun thing to do. So I would love your input. And she said, I had a baby during the pandemic. I used to write in coffee shops. I love being in coffee shops. I love that sound of the espresso machine, whatever, and the clatter of cups and the murmur of people. I can't, obviously, with a 2-year-old, whatever it was, 2, 3-year-old, be going to coffee shops and writing my blog anymore.
Right.
Any chance? So we found, this is not someone I know, so we just found this. They were recording someone made in Vienna, Austria, of their local coffee shop. And it's just a couple hours of hearing exactly that. We threw it up there and a bunch of people listened to it. And I'll tell you, for me, I listened to it. This is one that I'm actually super into. It reminds me back when I was an executive in film. This is my Sony, then DreamWorks, then Fox days, right? Now, I'm not a writer. I cannot write to save my life. Our emails are very short, as you figured out. Not a big writer. But I had to read a lot. Because we were an executive at the studio, you're continually getting scripts, treatments, books, all sorts of things. We want to make a movie out of this, right? I could do that at home. I saw you yawn. Am I boring you? I'm boring you.
No.
It's okay. We can wrap this up. Stephen, you're drawing this out.
I'll tell you about my sleep deprivation too. I don't have a newborn, but my son had surgery yesterday. So.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Hope he's okay.
My 2-year-old, he's fine. He's doing fine. But yeah, my sleep is.
She had a late night and an early morning, so
boy.
it happens.
Yeah.
Flow state,
For the past
flow
5 nights, but I'm here.
Floating.
This is so interesting to me.
The eyes are open even if I'm yawning. Okay. Got it. So what I was going to say is this. So I would go to this Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf that's on Sunset Boulevard right across from the Directors Guild. And I would read there, even though I was not a writer, I would read there because this was known as like a writer's sort of clubhouse. It was a very popular coffee bean or coffee shop in general, where you walk in and everyone's on their MacBooks writing away. And it was not a super social place. It's not like everyone was table hopping, being all like, hey, Krista, what are you writing? But there was an energy in the room because like in the corner, there was the old weird guy who's written like 3 big studio movies this year. He's making $1 million a script, but he still comes here because this is where he was writing back when he was 25 and 30. You know what I mean? Like this is his mental space. And then, next to you at the communal table, there are 2 girls who just got off the bus from Iowa and they're hunting and pecking their first TV spec. You know what I mean? And everyone in there is trying to do something. And I loved finding one of those chairs in the corner, my little stack of scripts or my Kindle, and just reading there and being around everyone who's trying to write the next great thing. And that energy between people, I love. And I recognize why when this particular blogger said to me, is there any way you could put up a coffee shop sound? Because it brings me to a place in my head. I was like, I got you.
That's very interesting. So, Krista, you go ahead.
Say the piece that's interesting to me is, so Matt and I talk a lot about winter being our kind of indoor productivity time where, instead of going and doing a mountain bike ride or something, because we live in Utah and it's snowy all winter, we might just come onto our computers and work on a creative project. And that was when he was like really productive on his book. And same with, I wrote a couple children's books this last year, and that was a super productive time for me too, winter. So I can see the rain being a great way to kind of trick your brain into thinking, I can't really go outside. It's raining. Because for me, my oldest daughter, she's so funny. She loves to read, and we like to get out of the house and go do things. And she's very much a homebody, but anytime it's raining outside or storming, she's like, this is the best day ever because we have to stay inside, you know? And
That's
so
so funny.
I can see that
You are
tricky
like my
brain.
wife, and I'm like your daughter.
That's so funny. But yeah, there's so many scientific things here, and I think there's going to be a big self-discovery piece for people listening to this to figure out what kind of audio. And I'm guessing you recommend headphones because it kind of cancels other things a little bit.
I will say
Like
that
Matt said, the noise canceling headphones.
it is, if you were in an environment with other people, it is a good visual signal. Don't bug me, I can't hear you, right? So it is like,
Right.
don't drop by my desk and chat with me about the game last night, sort of thing. So there's that, which is not even an oral benefit, but it's like a visual kind of like, hey man.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then there is, like you said, you completely control your oral environment, whether it's I want binaural beats or I just want to hear my music at high fidelity. I will be honest, I don't use them anymore just because I like to be able to sit down, hit play in Suka and start into whatever I'm doing and not like wrestle with, making sure the Bluetooth is connected or the wire or whatever. So I don't really, honestly, I don't really remember where mine are. They're somewhere in the office. I'm not sure where.
I have a question about this though. So there's times when you're at work and there's kind of an open door policy at some places. There's a hunker down and let people know that you're working. Like, I don't know, is it just important to, with this flow state, is this something, because you mentioned your friend who he hits play every day so that he can focus on his kids later in the day. But is there a reason that maybe it's okay not to be in the flow state every day, or to not try, make sure you get that,
Really a fantastic question, because as people want to integrate this into their lives, it is sort of like, hey man, you love spaghetti bolognese. Because you love it, you're going to have it 3 meals a day, every day. Like there's a place that it belongs, just like burgers or salads or, whatever. So let's talk about that. If you are a leader of an organization, of a team, or you're an individual contributor, the one actually doing the designs or the code or the blogs or copywriting, whatever it is, right? You can acknowledge, oh, you know what? There is value to deep work, as Cal Newport, has written very eloquently. There's shallow work. I got to empty my inbox. Oh, I got to pay the bills. Oh, I got to do my Slacks. Which it does kind of need to get done, or else, Matt's upset, like, you never replied my email. He gets all pouty. So exactly. I know. I've seen your soul. So there is the shallow work, which needs to get done. But no company, no billion-dollar company has ever won because it's like all the emails were returned. The Slack messages, the Teams messages were.
Inbox zero.
Inbox zero does not create a billion-dollar company. The deep work does.
Yeah.
The thing where it's like Matt walks into the staff meeting and goes, yesterday I actually took 2 hours and I thought deeply about what our competition's doing, what we're doing. What if we had a feature that did this? And everyone sort of becomes quiet and goes, we should build it right now. Like, we should leave this meeting right now and go do that. That comes from deep work, right? So if you are a leader or you're an IC, either way, you need to set aside some time for deep work. It's not all the time. It may not even be every day. Like, I'll tell you, in our organization, we had a conversation around chronotype, which is, hey, everybody, like, what time of day are you most adept at doing what? Like, is your deep work clarity of focus in the morning, the afternoon, whatever? For most of us, it is the morning. So we block in our calendar a time when we have an agreement among us. Hey man, don't set meetings. Exactly. Yeah, don't Slack me looking for the TPS reports from last week. Just 9 to 10 or 9 to 11, whatever it is that day. Like, that's a time when it's like, sit there. Sometimes nothing will come of it. Sometimes we'll be like, yeah, I did some work. It's fun. Da, da, da. Every now and then there is the, hey, I had an idea I want to talk with you about. Right? So if you want to win, if you want your team to win, or you want to win, or however that works, it's a balance of saying like, hey, if we believe that deep work is valuable and we want to harness that magic, how do we set aside some time where we all agree, hey, that's not the time to go set stupid meetings. That's not when we do our stand-up. It's not when we're like, going to Slack each other and go deep. Because as I mentioned, it takes 15 to 23 minutes to drop into flow. If you get interrupted in the middle, it takes you another 15 or 23 to get back in,
Yeah.
you know?
So you do need to have that set aside time and
Exactly.
some social norms around whether it's the time of day or maybe it's you indicate that you need to be in that flow state with the headphones or a sign on your door or something.
Mhm.
You know how to figure that out for yourself, because I'll give you here's just a fun story, and it'll become very specific. Is when I was coming up as a young Turk, like early 20s in Hollywood, there was a famous screenwriter who wrote like Rain Man and My Best Friend's Wedding and all this Ron Bass, right? And he was famous, maybe infamous, for not talking to his family in the morning. Not the dad who's gonna be like, "Hey, who wants pancakes? You know, who needs a ride to school?" Sort of thing, right? He's like, when I start talking to you in the morning, even his wife, he's like, after that, I can't hear my characters' voices in my head. And that's what I'm making $1 million, $2 million a script to do. That's, I mean, Julia and Tom and Dustin say
crazy.
yes to
Wow.
his scripts because the dialogue and the characters are so well written, right? So his family was like, "Dad, you go make $2 million. Like, we will make the pancakes. Like, we good. We good, Dad." Right?
After school.
But it was very interesting. He was that aware of his chronotype. Now in the afternoon, he could do studio notes meetings, collabs with other writers. He knew the afternoon was like, yeah, blah, 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 so I'll talk.
Character voice instead.
Exactly. That time is sacred though. And you can figure that out for yourself. Like if you suppose you're a team leader, and you're like, "Hey guys, what if we try having some flow time set aside each week? Maybe an hour a day, or 2 hours, 2 days a week, or something like that. We just go deep, right?" You probably want to time it properly, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't need any sophisticated app, any brain measurement equipment. You don't need an fMRI to tell everyone, you know what, just take a piece of paper and just this week or this week and next week, draw a simple grid, Monday through Friday, morning, afternoon. Just really simple, pencil. Jot down what you did, how you felt. Tuesday morning, wrote blog posts. Yeah, felt great. Yeah, it's cool. Worked. Wednesday afternoon, worked on debugging the so-and-so thing we got reported. Went miserably, but I'm telling you, you look at that after a week or two, the patterns will jump out at you.
Yeah.
You're like, I should be doing original creative work like in the morning. This is true for me.
Mhm.
Like when I write, whether it's a blog post or code, or whatever, like 7 to 10 in the morning, it is invariably faster and better than when I do it later in the day. Later in the day, I'm always slogging through and I end up rewriting it later, right? So that's an easy way for you or you to do with your team to say, "Hey, if we want to have a flow practice, when should we do it?" And then have people say, "You know what? I looked at this after a week. I'm really good like 9 to 10 in the morning, 9, 11 in the morning. If that's when I can do that kind of deep work, let's try it for a week." Right?
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
and it's free. This is the other thing is it's free to do. If you just want to get an advantage over yourself, how can I be better tomorrow? How can I be more in control of my day? Flow states are free. If you want to have it over other companies, like flow states are free. Like it's just there. And but let me point this out. It again is not something you do for 15 minutes. Like for example, you come to Sukkah and you don't have something to do, it's going to take you an hour. It'll seem just like a music app to you. Like, oh, I tried it for 3 minutes, music played, and my distractions were blocked. No, I don't get it. The average session with one of our members is 48 minutes because they actually go in, they have something to do, and they're like, done. Could have taken me an hour and a half, could have taken me 2 hours, but it blocked everything for me. It kept me on track.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with flow states is you have to, use them properly.
Yeah.
I have a couple thoughts here. So
Ooh.
I ran track in college, and we had our workouts that we did as a team, but we also had to hit a certain number of miles.
Yep.
And that was all tracked, and we would record how we felt and all that kind of stuff. And our head coach at the time, he said, if you're trying to, add a couple more miles to your day to hit your mileage goal, don't go out and do that if you can't commit to running for at least 14 minutes. And he said, just because it's not actually going to give you the physical benefit that you want. And so I think that makes sense to me as far as it takes time to get into that flow state, as far as there's a physical kind of getting in the zone and there's a mental getting in the zone, like a warm up essentially. But also like the interruptions, like I've listened to playlists on YouTube and then an ad comes in the middle and it's just like, everything falls apart and you're like, skip, pause.
Yeah.
And that's happening every few minutes. And then it's worthless. But then the frequency as well. So in the early phase of me writing the review cycle, I was doing like 30-minute sessions every day before work. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. And I would get these little incremental pieces of progress. And then I switched to doing a minimum of a half day at like on a Saturday, like,
Right.
wake up and work for several hours.
Mhm.
And I would get multiple times more. And I started recognizing that not all hours were equal.
Oh, well put.
1 hour in this state could produce X number of pages or X number of, whatever. But if I was going to force myself to do it when I wasn't feeling it, it was just like banging my head on the wall. And I think this whole conversation up to this point, a takeaway that I'm getting is I need to go back and do like a fresh audit of my own kind of norms to see what's going to make sense and allow myself to block out distractions, because the inbox is like my nemesis these days. Like, I'm there for my clients, our Mobrim clients. We try to have great support, but also if I'm expected to reply within minutes on everything where you really have to produce something of value.
Okay, so I want to pick up on the last thing you said. I'd like Krista, you also to weigh in on this. 3 biggest distractions. 3 things that if you controlled them better, you would finish earlier in your day. What are they?
Inbox, 100% for me.
Inbox?
Krista?
3 things to finish earlier in your day. Say
Three-
that again.
3 distractions. Okay, I'll let me start. I'll go
Oh,
first.
3 distractions. Okay.
I will tell you the things for me. Number 1, when I'm working and I hit an obstacle, I'm writing a blog post and the muses are not singing. Like, I know what I'm writing. I'm coding something and the build keeps failing. My hand will reach for my phone. It's almost like muscle memory. Like, I don't even think about it. It's just like, let's just quick check, see who like WhatsApped me or, who's gonna. It is so interesting the way that the companies that make these apps have wired my little dopamine desiring brain to go like, I have some for you, Stephen, I'm right here, right? So that's a really bad one for me, that when I hit that moment of frustration, open my phone, I'll feel good because I'll see, oh, Krista, WhatsApped me something. That's really nice. The other one is YouTube. If I am coding something and there's something I don't understand, I find a YouTube video. It's like, here's how to use a particular like bit of open source, module. And before that video ends, YouTube knows exactly what to recommend to me. I'm like, oh, I'd love to watch a video on that. Click, wake up 30 minutes later. I just watched 4 videos. I was watching a 3-minute tutorial on a bit of code and I just blew 30 minutes. And the pain you feel is at the end of the day. That's when you feel I didn't do it. So just to be very revealing, those 2 for me, big ones. Now, microphone back to you.
I think for me, I'll be honest, my flow state is typically at night after my kids go to bed, because I'm as I am involved in our business, but I'm heavily involved with being a mom for our kids. And I kind of have to be okay with all of their distractions and stuff. And so but I will say there are times when I do like open Instagram and I get stuck on the reels. It's the worst. And I need to be there for my kids. Maybe I might sometimes call them as the distractions, right? But actually they are my
the primary.
Yes. And so I need to make sure and I do feel worse when I get distracted from them, and so, but there are times when I'm like, I got to get work done in the middle of the day. And, and so usually I just try to give them something to do or just kindly let them know I just need an hour or something. And they're really good about understanding that and stuff, even though they're little. But yeah, I will say that, whatever you need to be doing, be there, be present in your shoes, and don't allow anything that's different than that, right? That anything else is a distraction.
Completely agree with you. I'll tell you how I solved part of this for myself, and which we share in Suka, is when I hit play, when I open it, hit play in the center, a QR code pops up in the middle of the screen for a moment that I can shoot. I can tap with my iPhone, my phone, and I put it down. if I pick up my phone during my session, the smart assistant in Suka will say to me, "Hey, Stephen, is your phone really helping you?" And it doesn't stop me, but it gives me
Interesting.
that one moment to go, who do I want to be? Do I want to be, I'm done at 3 o'clock guy, or do I want to be grumpy at 6 o'clock guy?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's all I need is just that little, like a friend sitting next to you just goes, "Steven, is that really helping you?" Actually, it's not. I'd rather be done at 3 and like go play with my little 5-week-old,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we did the same thing with we give everyone a free Chrome extension. You can download it for free. You can customize what websites.
Downloading now. No.
Yeah, as soon as when you go to sign up, there's an option. It'll just say, "Do these websites distract you?" And so click this, and it'll bring you right to the page. You can download a free Chrome extension, and it gives you like, here are the 20 most probable, like from our membership. Here are the ones that everyone seems to complain about. Oh, I get sucked into Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, whatever. You can add, you can subtract. If you're like, actually, I need to turn Twitter off because I'm going to be posting for work today, so don't bug me about Twitter.
Yeah.
Right? So you can toggle them, and this exact same thing. If you go and you open up YouTube, I open up YouTube. More than just 5 seconds, like I'm navigating tabs. If I actually open it up and I sit there for like 5-10 seconds, hey, little pop-up in the little screen. Is YouTube helping you? And you just get to choose, because I have a 5-week-old. I would much rather be playing with him than watching some stupid YouTube recommendation.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's
This
so
has all been
powerful.
amazing advice for Matt and I. At least I guess I should only speak for me, but I'm pretty sure it's
Definitely.
good for
I feel like we know Matt pretty well at this point.
I
I'm
do,
gonna go out on
I
a
do.
limb here.
I do. But great advice for us and for everybody listening, to all you leaders out there who are helping your teams, and individuals who are working to make your companies and your lives, your homes better, more focused and mindful, and finding that flow state. Do that audit. Figure out what helps you get into that state, and use it for your team and your own life and your productivity.
And check out the Suka Co. for sure.
Yes.
Thank you. This was such a fun episode. Thank you for the questions and for all the prep, Matt. I was glad when we spoke before.
Yeah. No,
and
that was
if
very
you're looking for your future spouse, go try yoga. I
Actually,
hear it's a great way to meet people.
It is a great way. And you know what? Girls that you meet in yoga are generally of a certain kind of like personality. Like I don't go to bars or clubs and like meet girls. That was not my thing. But you go to yoga and it's like people are kind of a little more spiritually, interested, a little more balanced. And
I love yoga too, by the way. So Matt got lucky with me.
I'm just saying, it does attract. I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, and now I've got a little son thanks to 10 years ago saying hi to the girl to my left. I am now a dad.
That is
so
incredible,
much, Stephen. Yeah, we really enjoyed the conversation today. And to all our listeners, check out Suka. Find your flow state, get those deeper projects done and learning, and make sure to subscribe so that you can follow our next episodes. Thanks, you guys.
There you go. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you. Thanks for joining us, Stephen.
Thanks for tuning in to the Culture Profit podcast, and for being a part of our journey to prove that putting people first is best for business.
Today's episode was sponsored by Mobrium.
Want to get more employee reviews and streamline your employer reputation? Visit mobrium.com.
Now go find one way to prioritize your people and watch your profits grow.